Katie, tell me your favorite memory from being in funeral service. What's the one thing that stands out to you right now? Your favorite memory over the course of your career so far?
Oh boy. When I first started, I would say, my mentor was very like my world. I thought he was the greatest thing ever. Um,
Yeah.
Anything that he did, I was like, that's the way we have to do it. That's exactly what. So, he had passed away. Probably it's been like 2 years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Suddenly he had cancer and it was like within a week he had passed away.
Oh my, what happened? What occurred?
I'm not too sure. We just heard, I got a phone call from like our boss at the time, and he just said, he had been admitted to the hospital and it wasn't looking good. And then a few hours later, it was just not good.
Shoot.
But
Ah,
my
terrible.
greatest memory, I think, would be that he requested that I take care of him. So that was very, very hard. He
Oh,
like
I'm
to
sure.
say, but yeah, me and like his very, very good friend went and picked him up and like did everything from the beginning to the end.
That's hard.
It was very, very hard, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And touching and sentimental to you to know that you developed that, like that was your person, and to know
Yeah.
that he wanted you to take care of him and to help in that situation when he was on the other end. That has to speak to type of person you are and the relationship that you were able to build over time. That's really touching.
Yeah. There was a point where, I really felt like he was my grandpa just because he really helped me get through
Yeah.
school and started my job and all that stuff. So it was very, yeah, very hard, but I never even thought that he would even ask something like that. So I was very, very honored for that.
Yeah. The fact that he was even thinking about it, if it was such a sudden thing, that's just
I know. He was just like,
that's
have Katie, just tell Katie to take care of everything. And he's like, well, if you're okay with it, like he wants you to take care of it. And I was like, of course, but I never thought that he would
right.
think like that. So I'm
Oh,
very honored that he thought that way about me as well.
absolutely. That is so nice. How did you get there in the first place? What was your reasoning for getting involved in the funeral industry, and how did you find him?
So I was going to be, when I started, college and everything, I wanted to be kind of like a forensics, like police officer type thing. So I did an
Oh,
internship with Detroit Police Department, and I kind of found the funeral home through that, weirdly enough. And the rest is just kind of history. I went to the funeral home that my grandpa was buried at a few years
uh-huh.
before that. And just kind of walked in and oddly was just like, hey, I realized that this is kind of something that I'd like to do. I said, I don't really know how to go about something like this, but, um, like, can I work here? Like, would you guys like want to
Got
try
any openings?
something like this? And
Yeah.
actually, the gentleman that helped me, with his final disposition, they were both there that day, and he was like, you should take a chance on this girl. And that was he kinda it was like an Italian, like, welcome to the family type deal, and yeah, the rest is history from there. So the 3
That's
of us,
wonderful.
they were like a little trio for a long time.
Yeah. Did you have an inkling before, like, that you were working with the police department? Did you have any idea? I was like, I want to be in the death care industry because it's not a normal thing. No,
No,
nothing.
I didn't even really know what it was. I had one of the calls that I had gone on was I was with the homicide department for
Oh,
a month or 2, and one of the calls we went on, somebody had, died by suicide. So when the police came, I'm like, "So what do we do now?" And I was all excited, and they're like, "You just wait." And I was like, "Wait for what?" And they're like, "Everyone else to come." And then when the ME came and then the funeral home finally showed up, like, I was more interested in their situation than what I was in.
uh,
So I kind of asked my mom, like, what should I do? And, we have no family connection to the funeral business at all. So we
yep.
were all just like, I don't know, just take a shot. So I kind of did, and it worked.
And that was your first funeral home you walked into, and you got one for one. You were able to. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And you were able to get there in a roundabout way. Like you weren't thinking about it, but
And I
you
never
found
even
your path.
thought too that this was like a family business thing because everyone's like, "Are you part of the family?" I'm like, "No."
Did you did you see anything crazy when you were in the homicide squad?
I mean, I want to say normal stuff if that's.
What does that mean? What's normal?
um, just kind of like I don't want to say police have a different kind of mindset and from what we're doing, so it's kind of
Sure.
difficult for them to, see that type of thing. I mean, seasoned
Yeah.
vets do it all the time, was difficult. But like when I was
Right.
obviously with a group of kids that were my age and we all go into like, we went to Wayne County Medical Examiner for one of our field trips for the day and, a few of them passed out.
Oh no!
Yeah. So
What did they do about that?
nothing. They were just like,
Let them sleep it off.
yeah, they're like, they won't make it. I'm like, okay, I guess we'll just keep watching. So it's just, you know, odds and ends things. The one that,
Yeah.
like I said, really stuck with me was that one that he was a younger kid and he had a kid and he just was having
Ah,
a hard time, obviously. And that was the one that really stuck with me to be like, hey, I think this would be, I think it was more of too, police officers always investigate things and they're upstairs kind of talking to the families and, writing a
sure.
report and all that. And I wanted to be able to help them on a different side of that because
Right.
once the police were like there and like they were done, like they were
Yeah.
they weren't doing anything, and I'm like, well, what aren't we gonna like help these people, or are we just gonna kind of hang out? They just you know wait for the other people
Yeah.
to come and do their job, but that's their job,
Right.
so that's okay. But
Yeah.
I was more interested, I think, in that
The
different,
nurturing.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you had that calling and you had that feeling because it's like you knew it's like okay I'm in this side of business but this is really what I'm more passionate about and it's weird sometimes how life takes you down the different paths and
yeah.
you find your way that's meant for you and it feels like that from the the endeavors that you've gone through.
I always say too that was like the best worst thing I ever did because I was gun ho. I was gonna be a police officer, and
Yeah.
I don't think I would have lasted very long doing that. I did not. Everyone else in the program, I mean, it's a great program. It was wonderful. Everyone else, I was like one of the two people that did not go on to be a police officer down there.
No kidding.
But,
Wow.
yeah, like it was wonderful. Everything about it, I was just like, this, I realized that this just is not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So,
It's the opposite of mortuary school. You get people dropping off left and right. Everyone stayed there.
right, yeah, definitely.
Tell me about your career then. Like, how is it? Um, when you got started into now, what does your career look like? And give me some of those highs and low moments that we all love to hear.
Well, when I did finally, I guess, start with where I walked in at, I was there for a few years, and then when actually my mentor left, I left
Oh,
with him and kind of everyone at the same time. That was corporate, but a different like corporate. So I've
yep.
kind of been with. I started with corporate my whole career, and then around I want to say it was about 2 years ago, I just like I said, decided I owed it to myself to kind of see what else was out there. So I went to a family-owned funeral home, and once I did move to the family, I ended up making an Etsy store just with my free time that I had. So
All that free time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I'm sure going from a corporate owned funeral home to a family owned, it is a very different atmosphere. And I'm not sure what your call volume different is. Like sometimes the family funeral home is a little bit more crazy because
yeah.
you're doing a million things, or sometimes it's not as much because you're not doing as much volume. So it seems like maybe you have a little bit more leeway to do as you please nowadays.
Kind of. I feel like there's less stress, like you said. You're more you can focus more on different things. I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, there is. I want to say it is still kind of, I feel busy as well where I'm at. Just because, like you said, you're doing other things on top of, meeting families and everything else.
Right.
Versus the other is just you're kind of meeting families on top of families. So it's just, different type of stress, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's yeah. Keep
but
going. Sorry.
I think I like being able to be with the family though the entire way through. So it's easier to be able to meet them and then say that you're going to, do their makeup and you'll make sure that certain things get done. I think that helps a lot with consistency, and especially if the family
Yeah.
knows you're the one that's doing that part of it, then it kind of helps, give them more.
It builds the trust, and then nothing gets lost along the way, because there are those little things like how they want their makeup done, or if they want their hair styled a certain way, or they want something in the casket in a specific way, or something for the service. Those things are those little details that we can remember when we're meeting families, but if you're not accustomed to writing them down and transferring that information to someone else, it easily can get lost. And those are the little things that separate funeral homes and the experience that a family's going to have.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's hard to, I think, for organization between people because, everyone has their own way of doing something. Try to get everyone
Yes.
on the same page to try to say we're going to do this to make sure everything gets done correctly is difficult in any setting anywhere, I think. So,
Yep. Yep.
yes, when it's a consistency of you doing a lot of it, I think it helps, especially, you got I have to write everything down on everything.
Right.
But yeah, I think it helps a lot. And like I said too, I think it's more comfort for them because they know at least, well, you did that and you did it, see it all the way through. So
Yeah, it's nice being with them every step of the way too. It's a unique experience, and you've probably dealt with both sides of it, coming from a corporate now to family.
yeah,
When you get to hold their hand through the whole process, you really do get to grow close with the family. And that's that special touch that you can only do when you're most of the time when you're at a family firm. Otherwise, you don't really have your hands on every piece of the service. So it's nice that you get to do that, and you have a couple different experiences throughout your career already.
yes, I'm very fortunate. I think I have had, different side of I've seen a different views of things and have been able to also been when I was with corporate, you kind of they send you where whoever needs help. So you get to experience different kind of cities and demographics of people too. So that helps
Oh yeah.
a lot as well because you get to learn not only different areas but the different types of people because no matter sometimes it's shot in the dark
Yeah.
what you're gonna
It really is.
what you're gonna deal with for the day. So yeah,
That's what's fun about it. That's what makes it fun and makes it
right?
different.
Keeps it
Yeah.
interesting, I guess.
You mentioned you have an Etsy store. What's the deal there? Well, what are you doing with an Etsy store amongst all that free time you have? What are you selling? What are you pushing?
Well, when my grandma passed away back in like 20, she did a lot of like cross stitching and stuff like that. So I've kind
Nice.
of picked up a few of her projects to kind of, feel a little closer to her because I missed her so much.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then it just kind of turned into I had too many things and a few people from work were, asking me to make them things and then I was selling them there. So part of me leaving corporate to go to a family was I wanted to open an Etsy store and try to get a little more traffic with myself that way. When I do have things open and I do have stuff available, a lot of it is like cross stitching, or I've been dabbling in crocheting a lot lately too.
What's the difference?
Cross stitch is gonna be more of you're using, like, small floss on, like, a
Okay.
different kind of it's called Ida fabric.
Okay.
There's like, little boxes, and you basically just make a cross in the box in a pattern. And,
Got it.
crocheting is more I wanted to kind of make stuff for me to wear, so that's kind of why I started doing crocheting. Um,
Uh huh.
but what I'm selling more of or less is kind of like, I like to make there's like crochet flower bouquets.
Oh, nice.
I can whip up hats pretty quick too. So kind of stuff like that is, not easy, but not too difficult.
Yeah. And what do you have behind you? What do you have hanging behind you?
Uh,
Did you make that?
my mom made this too, so this is part of my inspirational
Yes.
stuff.
Beautiful. How do you run your business then? How are you? Is it just mostly on word of mouth and like people come into your store? I don't even know really how the Etsy stores work too much.
So my fiance actually bought me a book for my birthday that's kind of more of how to learn that algorithm because it is very difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It is. I have been trying to do like more or less make like little advertisements on Canva, and then I put those on my social media and try to use like hashtags or whatever to try to you know,
Draw people.
gain traffic that way. That's kind of I do, tell everyone, but I am also kind of I don't want to say shy, but every time we go out and somebody says they like my hat or something, my fiance's like, the Mending Garden. So, but I should, more or less be like giving people cards, but I don't really. A
Yeah,
lot of it,
it's a hard thing.
I know I'm not very like, oh, here you go. But
It's just like most funeral directors, we don't want to be handing out our business cards to any families or anything like that.
no, I don't even like to talk to people half the time. I'm in the corner, like don't even notice that I'm there. So,
That's what the prep room's for. So you can hide. I used to have these business cards like when I first got started as a funeral director, and it was this man on there like an old like cartoony looking guy, and he was smoking a cigarette, and it says on the caption, "Thank you for smoking, your local funeral director." Everyone just thought it was the funniest thing, and I would hand it out to people that were smoking cigarettes outside of the bar and stuff like that. It was just, oh man, everyone eat that up. Not the people that got the cards. That usually was a 50-50 whether they'd be pissed off or laughing.
fair enough.
Well, I'm glad that you're getting into your own sort of business. Is that helpful with dealing with what we do on a day-to-day basis? I feel like that's very relaxing and meditative. I do a lot of that sort of stuff myself, deep breathing and meditation, because the day-to-day work is very hard as a mortician. Do you think your work with crocheting and everything is helpful in that respect? Because I think a lot of us morticians are looking for outlets that are going to help deal with the stress.
I think so, yes, a lot.
Yeah.
Um, when I started doing all of that was mainly when I first started, and I was really taking a lot of things very personal, which I shouldn't have. Um,
Yeah.
I was like
At the beginning.
critiquing myself, and I thought I was doing things wrong, and it was just I was taking everything so personally, and then I was also almost like I would get these tragic stories from people and I would feel so bad for them, and I would go home and I would just be like that's all I wanted to like think or talk about, and I'm like, well, you need to like
Yeah.
not drown yourself in that. I think that was part of my problem. So,
Can't bring it home with you, right?
yes. So that was kind of I started it wasn't obviously it was not great at the beginning. So some of these are hidden away in a box that will never see the light of day again. But, yeah, it's just it really helps. I think it helps relieve stress. It helps me kind of relax a little bit. And if I kind of like to turn on like, Steve Wilkos or Jerry Springer, I hate to say in the background, kind of just, makes me forget about that stuff. At least until I
Yeah.
go back in the morning.
It's a good outlet. You have to try to leave it at the door as much as it's hard. At the beginning of your career, I was the same way too, very much so, where I was taking things more personal than you really should because the family's going through a tough time. And a lot of people, like myself included, have some perfectionist tendencies, and you can't be that way as a funeral director because you have to be able to really roll with the punches and let it flow. But you learn very quickly to be able to leave your work at the door as much as you possibly can. It's impossible to fully do it, as most of us know that have been morticians for quite some time. But you got to do it as best you can. I love the Jerry Springer though. I just watched this not too long ago over the winter. This documentary about Jerry Springer, like back in the day, like in the '90s, and
Oh,
my God, it was just like that was reality TV before it was a thing, and it was just the most engaging, absurd. Like
Yes,
they need to bring some of that back.
so ridiculous. Those are the best ones.
Did you watch that documentary? I think it was on Netflix or something. It was behind the scenes, and they went through like all those talk shows like back in the late '90s and stuff. Did you watch that? You should check it out.
No, but I'm definitely going to now.
It was really good. It was like I kind of want to buy some Jerry Springer like DVDs. Are DVDs still a thing? I don't know, but like I want to be able to watch these episodes
Yeah,
again.
yeah, they
That's a good outlet. That's for sure. Doing your work on the side, and that's wonderful. Do you have any good stories over the years? Like this is mostly funeral directors that like to listen. Do you have anything uh, a little bit out there that's happened to you over the course of time, or anything a little bit maybe not too fun to deal with that would resonate with us? You catch my drift, I think.
yeah. The crazy thing I guess I will say is the amount of people that need, like, medical help that are at the funeral home. Uh,
Oh,
I have helped and called 911 for I think I'm at, like, 5 people now that have, like, passed
what?
out, hit their head, and, like,
Ooh.
need severe medical attention.
Oh no,
Yes.
that's unpleasant. Do you ever? We have it in the office, a container of smelling salts. So if someone passes out, you hit them with the smelling salt and try to perk them
Not
up.
not at this one, no. My first one that I started at, they had a stash in the front drawer.
It's probably that old school
Yes,
Italian
yep,
style that they're going for.
exactly. They were like, "Just hit him with the you're fine." I'm like,
Hit
"Okay."
them with the salt.
Yeah. No, the first time, like, I was when I first started,
Uh-huh.
there was a baby that I don't know if she was choking or what had happened,
Oh, jeez.
but, like, I just heard people, like, screaming, so I ran into the chapel, and this mother was, like, shaking the baby. Got
No.
so, like I had just got out of my, like, other job that I just left, which was lifeguarding. So,
You were ready to go.
I
Spring into action.
I grabbed the baby and I pushed the mom out of the way and I, like, was just like, "You can't do that." So, I looked and, tried to see there was nothing in her mouth. I don't know what happened, like, I think she just genuinely, like, stopped breathing because I got her to
Whoa.
breathe again, and when she started crying, like, she was fine, and we called the ambulance and she went and everything ended up being okay with her, but I don't know what happened, but that was the scariest one for sure, just because I seen this baby was passed out and her head was just, like, back and forth like a doll. It was very, very scary.
That's petrifying. What happened? Like for the like, how was the family just like? All right, well, we got to go back to visitation now. Like, how could you do it?
I don't know because every time that has happened, we had
What? So
yeah,
they're just like back to business.
yep. The one we had, it was probably about a year ago. The man was elderly and his wife had passed away. They were both very old, and
Uh,
we don't think he was taking care of himself. He got to the
ah.
visitation and it was warm in there and he passed out and, like, I heard him knock his head on the floor from the other side of the, like, building. So,
Oh no.
but that family was just like, "Well, let's keep it rolling." I'm like, "Okay, are you sure? Like, does anyone need to go to the hospital?" Or they're like, "Yeah, Jimmy's gonna go and it'll be fine. We're just gonna keep going." Okay, not a you tell me. You're paying us, sure, whatever you want.
I don't know if I've ever had a service like that. I had to stop for any reason. I'm trying to rack my mind, but I really don't think we ever. I guess everyone just pushes through. If something weird, something crazy happens, like we've had the police called many times. We've had people get injured too, similar things. But everyone's just like, we're here to do some business, and I guess we're never stopping, not for nothing.
That was the one time too, I was like, "We should probably reschedule, like, that's the husband," and, like, they didn't have kids or anything, and the nieces and nephews were just like, "Nope, keep it going. We're gonna roll." "Okay, sure, no problem."
It's like the husband comes to at the hospital. And he's like, what happened to the service? Well, where's my wife's service? Well, like he's probably astonished and probably devastated at the same time too.
Yes, because then I remember he was
Poor
in the
guy.
hospital for a little bit, after that, so it wasn't like we postponed the burial and everything for him to get out, and then
Oh,
at that
that was
point, he was
nice.
just like, because she went to, the National Cemetery, so it was
Okay.
he's like, not get it done, but he's like, "I'm not in the best of shape," and, he didn't wanna put it off anymore, and I don't blame him at that point. It was
Yeah.
2 weeks, I think.
That's a challenging situation to be in.
Yeah,
And as a funeral director, you're like, we're going to do whatever you want. So I don't like, you got to give me some
right,
guidance what to do here.
but I just can't believe they were like, "No, just it's fine." They just took him, like, "Let's go. Just keep it going, it's okay." "Okay, not a
Oh
problem.
my gosh.
You're just,
That's
keep it going."
amazing.
I will.
Keep going on the path. Keep
Yeah.
going. That's good. Have you had any interesting family drama or family situations from when you're meeting with family?
Yeah,
Give me one.
we had one recently. The family got in a fist fight in the back of the chapel right
Oh
before
no.
the station started. Our office manager was in the middle, and
No.
he was getting pushed around, and we finally went in there. We're like, "You can't push an old man around. I'm gonna call the police if you guys don't stop."
It's an unwritten rule. You don't push old men.
So, yeah,
What was the fight over?
the niece was in charge.
Ah,
I
God.
just, I don't even know. They were just yelling. It was just, you could tell it was a thing that has built up for years because they were talking about she had something when she was alive and
Yeah.
something about a house and money. I hate to say money's always the topic of conversation.
Usually a factor when those fights happen. There's no doubt about it. Isn't it? It does happen more than you think because if a family's estranged a little bit and they don't see each other for years, everyone's holding this resentment inside of them, and it's all boiling up to this moment of everyone's together upon a death. And us funeral directors are like stuck in the middle, like, or the office manager is like, everyone stay apart.
He just kind of was like pushing people. It got to the point where they were pushing him, and he was just like, "Okay, help
Getting
me."
tossed around. How did it resolve? Who ended it and who won the fist fight?
Me and another director, said you need to stop pushing people and we're going to call the police if you guys don't stop. And then one of the men of the family kind of took somebody, one took one girl and somebody took the other, and they threw them out and they went out in the back and kind of settled their differences. So I'm not sure what
Oh,
happened in the parking lot, but
you didn't have to clean up any blood spills or anything in the lot.
oh, I didn't see it. So I mean, hopefully it was out of sight. If it
I had to do that once where someone fell, an older lady fell walking into the funeral home, and I can't remember what she hit. Maybe it was her head. I don't think so, but I feel like it was her arm or something. And there was a lot of blood, like right in front of the front entrance of the funeral home. And I was like, well, there are very few places that are more well equipped to clean up blood than a funeral home. So I can take care of that.
not the best look, but it's fine.
No, but I was able to get out there. I had my web roll ready to rock with some disinfectant spray, and we were good as new in 2 minutes.
Perfect.
Oh, wonderful. Katie, thanks so much for talking to us today. We wish you a lot of luck with your Etsy store and hopefully the rest of your career. And I love that you're getting to do a balance of different corporate versus family lifestyles, getting to make it your own. And we hope that continues along that path and that way you keep getting to serve families just like you're doing right now.
I appreciate it.